celebrating junior bowling, elevating junior bowlers. This is Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Live on tape from Bolero Roswell in Roswell, Georgia. This is Coach Randy, welcoming you to episode 105 of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, the 7th Frame Sweat 2019. Today you'll see 12 kids, 9 in the Bigs division, 3 in the Littles, compete for a chance to put their name on the coveted trophy pin. So what is this 7th Frame Sweat, you ask? It's a diabolical little format I dreamed up a couple of years ago, and we're using it today for just the second time. In the 3-person stepladder matches, the first ball you throw in the 7th frame could be your last, as the low pinfall on that ball will eliminate one player. But if 2 tie, and all survive to continue. We'll explain it further when we get to the 7th frame. A little later on, we'll have a wildcard round in the Bigs division, as only the top 6 players coming out of the qualifying round were automatically seeded into the stepladder. The bottom 3 will have to survive a 9th and 10th frame roll-off to become the wildcard entry in the stepladder. But for the 3 Littles today, they all made the show. They are, in the 3rd position, Christopher Nathanson. You saw him finish 2nd in our special For Littles Only episode over the summer. The number 2 qualifier is his sister, Aubrey Nathanson. No one was more surprised that she edged out her brother in qualifying than Aubrey herself. And the number 1 qualifier in the Littles is Rowan Sautner. He actually would have qualified 5th in the Bigs division had we put him there. With 3-person matches, we'll bowl league style, with 2 players starting on one lane and the 3rd starting on the other lane. Rowan, being the highest qualifier, had the first choice and has opted to start on the right lane. Aubrey chose to start on the left, giving Christopher his choice of starting lanes, and he's chosen to start on the right. That gave Rowan the option of going 1st or 2nd, and he's decided to go 2nd. So, here we go. We'll crown 2 champions today, 1 in the Littles and 1 in the Bigs. Christopher, with the first toss of the match, crosses over, leaves the 5 pin as his sister Aubrey leaves the 1-3-9 to start. A tricky little cluster. You remember Christopher Nathanson from our For Littles Only event. He's actually won before on Prodigy. First time he showed up to bowl with us. And Aubrey gets a spare in the first frame, a tough spare. Rowan crossing over. Leaves the 5-7 split. He goes straight to the rack for his plastic ball. He'll try to slide the 5 over into the 7. But wide with the shot, and that's an open to start. A thin hit for Christopher leaves the 3-9. Got to deal with that tricky sleeper in the back. And Aubrey catching a piece of the head pin. She gets that back pin to go. She has just the 3 pin. Christopher leaves the sleeper 9, so that's an open in the 2nd frame for him. Aubrey wide with her spare attempt. That's an open. And Rowan leaves the 10 pin here in the 2nd frame. Continuous action, so there probably won't be time for any replays today, as we'll be bowling back and forth between the 2 lanes constantly. And a good conversion of the 10-pin for Rowan. They are bowling, of course, for the right to sign the coveted trophy pin. One little and one big today will put their name on it. Through the nose, Aubrey leaves just the 10-pin. And her brother Christopher light with that first ball in the third frame. He leaves the 3-5-6. These two bowl league for the first time. I guess last year they joined the league over at Cherokee Lanes in Canton. They come over and bowl with us on Prodigy every now and then. And Christopher with a spare in the third. Practicing that style. Gotta hone it. And there's a strike. That's our first strike of the day. Rowan gets it, tripping the 4. A little wide of the mark for Christopher. Leaves the 1-3-6. They're bowling on a sport pattern. We'll tell you more about that a little later on. The 1-2-5 remains for Aubrey. And Christopher converts his cluster and gives himself a round of applause. Well deserved. And that one gets away from Aubrey, so an open frame. Rowan turns away as soon as he lets that one go. He was a little off balance at the foul line. And now he's got the 1-2-4-8. There's a pocket hit for Christopher, but it doesn't quite finish hard enough to snap out the corner. That's one way to make the 1-2-4-8. Not the way we would recommend, but it worked for Rowan that time. Well, that 7-pin has been one pesky spare for Christopher, and he missed it that time. Aubrey missing the head pin on the left and leaves the 1-3-6. And another pocket hit for Rowan and another trip 4. 2 of those in a row on the right lane. Aubrey now setting herself to shoot at the spare. Got to back up. A little wide of the mark. Well, we are inching closer and closer to the 7th frame. That's when things will get very tense. And you don't want to do that on the first ball in the 7th, that's for sure. You'd like to do that. Aubrey with a strike in the 6th. All right, Christopher, just shoot this like a strike. He does, and he gets the spare. And he looks relieved. And now he looks like he's going into deep prayer about the 7th frame, which is coming up for him. Rowan with his first ball in the 6th goes right into the channel, and well, better to do that in the 6th than in the 7th, that's for sure. Plus, he doesn't lose any count because he's on a strike, but now he's got a big full rack to shoot at for his spare, but this would be a good time to get lined up. That one cuts through the nose, and he gets 7 for the frame. And now we reach the 7th frame sweat. So here's how it works. The first ball you throw in the 7th is essentially a single ball eliminator in the frame. Low pinfall is eliminated. Uh-oh. There's 7. And that could be trouble. And Aubrey gets them all to cave in on a high hit. You look at her, she's relieved, but we give her a strike, and she's safe. That means she will continue. Rowan, he needs 7 to continue. 8 or more would eliminate his buddy Christopher. Christopher's got a bowl first, though. And he makes a good attempt at the split. But now Rowan got to match Christopher's 7 to continue. 6 or less, and Rowan is out. 8 or more eliminates Christopher. There's 7. So we have a tie for low pinfall. There is no roll-off in the 7th frame sweat. They both survive. All 3 players will bowl this match to the very end. That's how it works. And Christopher high-fives Rowan with a big thank you. A spare for Rowan. Meanwhile, we've got a pretty close match. Christopher, once again with double wood, the 2-8 this time. Aubrey on a double. She gets 7. And Christopher hooks past the face of the 2-pin, knocking it down, but leaving the sleeper 8. So that's another open frame for him. And now Aubrey with a tricky little spare here, the 1-3-9. But she converts it beautifully, gets a round of applause from Rowan. And now Rowan's up in the 8th frame on the left. And he's a little wide of the head pin. And now he's got the washout, the 1-2-4-10. And all of a sudden, this match is close. Oh, man, that was a good ball. But Christopher leaves the 7. And Rowan with an errant shot in his attempt to make the washout. 7 out. That gives him 115 in the 8th. Don't look now, but Aubrey's in the lead. Oh, but she short counts with just 5 on the first ball in the 9th. So that actually hands the lead back to Rowan by 2 pins. She would do well to convert this to keep the pressure on Rowan. But she's wide with the spare attempt, and 5 out is short count in the frame, so 118 in the 9th. And Rowan is in command at the moment. That's a good ball by Christopher, just fractionally high. He leaves the 6. And now Rowan with a split, the 3-10. No guarantees here. And he doesn't get it. So, Christopher, this is big here. He gets the spare. So now the situation is this. Christopher, if he strikes on his fill ball, will shoot 136. That would force Rowan to mark. And if Rowan didn't mark, Aubrey could win with a spare and 9. Oh, but she goes through the nose and leaves the 6, 7, 10. All right, Christopher, get all you can. Oh, no. Oh, no. He gets just 1. So that's going to give him a 127. Aubrey, you need to try to make this. If she makes it and strikes on the fill ball, she would shoot 138. And that would force Rowan to mark in the 10th and get 5 on his fill ball. She needs to make this to have much chance to win. Well, she went for it boldly. But it comes down to this. Rowan needs 4 pins to win. And there it is. And Rowan is your winner in the Littles division today. In a closer match than some might have expected. He covers the 10 pin, so with good count, he'll be in the 140s to finish. There's 6, and that'll be 140 on the nose. So it's Rowan Sautner who wins the Littles division today. He'll sign the coveted trophy pin, and then we'll get to the Bigs wild card round. Hey, Prodigy Land, it's me, Coach Randy. You know, last year we began a new push on Prodigy Bowlers Tour to invite you to become a patron of the show, and many of you responded favorably. Thank you. Some of you may still wonder why anyone would want to step up and pay to watch videos on YouTube that are there for anybody to see, free of charge. Well, it's a simple concept built around the age-old idea of patronage. I don't get paid a salary to produce these Prodigy videos. I do it for the love of the sport of bowling. And under new policies recently announced by YouTube that will affect content creators who create content for children or whose channels are watched by children, there are some unanswered questions as of right now as to whether even Google AdSense dollars are going to continue flowing to channels like this whose videos feature kids. You know, I spend about 40 hours each week producing Prodigy Bowlers Tour. It is unquestionably a labor of love, but it is a full-time job with very little in the way of a financial reward. I could be spending that time working to build my other business, but I'm so fascinated by the idea of earning a living by being a YouTube content creator that I've sort of gone all in on Prodigy and related activities. A few years ago, a website called Patreon was built for content creators like me to give viewers like you an opportunity to support content creators by becoming a patron of their work and by committing a small amount of money each month to help fund the ongoing creation of the videos you're already enjoying. When we launched our Patreon campaign last year, I originally set it up with 3 tiers of commitment at $5, $10, and $20 amounts.
That middle tier would get you exclusive access to content that was produced just for our Prodigy patrons. But honestly, I felt like some of the content produced was good enough that more people ought to be able to enjoy it. Besides, this year I plan to produce additional content, including more Prodigy shorts and short-form content, and I want all Prodigy heads to be able to see it. So I'm pleased to announce that I've eliminated that middle tier, and I'm cutting the price in half for the top tier. So starting right now, you can become a Prodigy patron for a commitment of just $5 a month. That'll give you early access to all our videos. And when I say early access, I mean usually about a day ahead of time when the rest of the world will get to see it. So if the show drops on a Friday, Prodigy patrons will usually get to see it about a day before that. And, effective immediately, I'm cutting in half the price of our premium tier of support from $20 a month to just $10 a month. That's right, for $10 a month, you'll not only get early access to all our content, but you'll also get your name listed in the closing credits on each week's full-length episodes of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. And I'm even giving our Prodigy patrons who commit to that higher tier a promotion. You know, in the world of motion pictures and television, if you're one of the people who put up the money to fund the project, you're not merely the producer, you're the executive producer. So, in keeping with that nomenclature, from now on, Prodigy patrons who commit to the $10 level will be listed as executive producers in the closing credits of our full-length episodes each week. So, there you go. Season 4 Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Now with a simplified tier system for our Prodigy patrons. The $5 level, which gets you early access to all our shows, and the $10 level, which gets you early access, plus gets your name in the closing credits as an executive producer. By showing your commitment to Prodigy Bowlers Tour with such a tiny commitment as $5 or $10 a month, you help ensure that I can continue investing so much of my time into the creation of the show each week and into developing new forms of content. So thanks to all our Prodigy patrons, and I'd like to invite the rest of you to become a Prodigy patron. Here's how you do it. Sign up at www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour. That's www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Well, before we visit with our winner, here's how things all started today, as the three littles bowled a 2-game qualifier. All three of them made the show, of course, so they were really only bowling to jockey for position to determine which player got the option of starting lanes and to give them a couple of games to get acclimated to the lane conditions. In the first game of qualifying, Rowan threw down the gauntlet with a strong 204 game. Christopher was in second place, but then as the second game unfolded, Christopher lost his line completely when the kids moved to the other pair of lanes, and his sister Aubrey slipped past him. I wish I'd had a camera on Aubrey when she saw the numbers add up and how she finished ahead of her big brother. It was priceless. But it was in the championship round when things were decided, and it came down to the final frame. Rowan Sockner had just enough to claim top honors today, so it is he who gets to sign the coveted trophy pin in the Littles division today.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen, making his first trip to the winner's circle this year on Prodigy Bowlers Tour and signing the coveted red trophy pin.
What's the
The date today? That is the 21st. That would be 9/21/19. And how about Rowan getting 7 in the 7th frame to give you a reprieve, Christopher? That was pretty generous of him. But in the end, he took the top prize, and he's our winner. Congratulations.
And now we turn our attention to the bigs. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we had a total of 9 bigs today, but only the top 6 were guaranteed a spot in our stepladder finals today. The players who qualified in the 7th, 8th, and 9th positions were sent to the wildcard round, where only one of them will advance to the championship round. Our 3 wildcard contestants are, in the 9th position, Tristan Davis. Coming off a win 1 week ago on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, Tristan will have to come from the bottom to the top if he wants to repeat today. Our number 8 qualifier is Allison McGowan. Allison was in the wildcard round 1 week ago and came up 1 pin short of a sudden death roll-off with Anthony Smiga to get into the stepladder. And our number 7 qualifier today is Hunter Moffitt. Hunter has finished 2nd each of the previous 2 weeks on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. But today, he'll have to emerge from the wildcard round if he's to make a run. These 3 players will bowl a 9th and 10th frame roll-off to determine which of them will join our top 6 players in the stepladder finals today. Hunter, the highest qualifier, had the choice of what order he wanted to bowl in and which lane the threesome would start on. He has elected to have everyone start on the left lane, and he wants to lead off. Allison, with the 2nd choice, has opted to go 2nd. Hunter with a high hit to start. He leaves the 6-10. This 11-year-old, fearless among the bigs. He'll go cross lane at the spare. Oh, and he chops the 6 off the 10. And that's an open frame to start. Can't afford those in a 2-frame roll-off like this. So now Allison. She is playing outside. A little too far outside. She missed to the right a little bit. This oil pattern will not bring the ball back if you miss right, so she's actually meaning to point it slightly. A little more like that, but just a little high with that one, so 9 out and another open, so the door is wide open now for Tristan. He's playing a little more inside, but he misses wide right as well, and now has the washout. The 1, 2, 4, 10. You want to hit on the Brooklyn side of the head pin, throw that 1 pin over into the 10. But he gets too much of the head pin, and all 3 players begin with an open. So no blood is drawn in the first of 2 frames here in our 9th and 10th frame style roll-off. Hunter crosses over and gets a strike. Well, when you only have 2 frames, it's pretty much by any means necessary. He'll take it. And now he can really put the pressure on Allison and Tristan if he can get another strike here.
but instead he goes through the nose, gets 9. So he has a chance here to finish with a score of 29 if he can pick up the 10 pin. But he runs by it, so Hunter finishes with a score of 28. So Allison and Tristan need to fill 20 to get past Hunter. Either a strike and a spare, or a spare and a strike. Now the lead indicator on the score sheet shows Allison even. That means she's even with the person who's in the lead. And that person right now is Tristan, going at a 29 pace, as is Allison. Wide with that one, leaves the 2-4-5. She doesn't lose any count because she wasn't on a spare. So she picks this up and gets a strike. She'll have 29. Crosses over, but gets the spare. And then she has to be reminded that it is effectively a 10th frame where she gets an extra ball. Needs to get them all to get past Hunter. 9, we'd have a tie at 28, but it would leave the door wide open for Tristan. Oh, a 7 count. That'll give her 26, and that will eliminate Allison. It's going to be Hunter or Tristan who becomes the wild card today. Again, Tristan needs to fill 20 to advance. Okay, light. Leaves the 2-5. Tristan will go to his spare ball. He'll play this up the left side of the lane to reduce the angle, where he might chop the 2 off the 5. And that is well done. So it comes down to 1 ball. With a strike, Tristan would finish with a 29, and he would advance as the wild card. A 9 count, and we'd have a sudden death roll-off with Hunter. 8 or less, and it's Hunter who will be moving on. Oh, there's a 9 count, and we have a tie. So it will be a single ball elimination between Hunter and Tristan. And you may have heard Allison's mom say, "You've been eliminated, Allison." She said, "No." There's 7 for Hunter, and he's not real optimistic about his chances of that being good enough. He wanders off, expecting Tristan to beat that. And I think that might be a pretty safe bet. So Tristan needs 8 to win the wild card round. 8, 9 or a strike. 7 will repeat the roll-off. There's all 10, and it's going to be Tristan, last week's winner on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, who will move on to the stepladder finals. We'll meet his fellow competitors when we return after this.
If you got a steady date or if you're going straight, If you want a swinging time that
Never is a drag.
come on, go
Bowling, take your baby bowling. Everybody's bowling.
What about me?
If you want a place to go where
Time will really fly.
or take your baby out tonight and
You'll be scoring high.
just take her.
Bowling, take your baby bowling. Have more fun, go bowling.
What about me? No wheels.
I've got a car.
Put me next to her.
What size do you need?
Well, I got my own shoes. I'm just here for a trophy. Wife.
You know why you're gonna date me? I do.
Because I'm a winner.
I've already met my winner on farmersonly.com.
You don't have to be lonely at farmersonly.com.
So that's the third time.
So before we get things started in the Bigs division, it's time we tell you what they're bowling on. And today, it's the world bowling pattern known as Paris. One of the longest oil patterns at 47 feet, Paris offers almost nothing in the way of help to guide the ball back to the pocket with just a 2-to-1 ratio of oil. But despite its length, Paris has considerably less volume than many patterns much shorter. So what little oil there is spread thin across those 47 feet. It means that unlike some long patterns, players won't need to go with super aggressive equipment to get the ball to recover. But don't send it too wide because the length of the pattern will only bring the ball back from so far wide of the pocket. Now with that out of the way, let's meet the Bigs. You already know that Tristan Davis is our wild card. He'll take the 7th spot in the step ladder. Our number 6 qualifier is Brandon Cho. Brandon is a former winner on Prodigy a couple of years ago when he was a little. The 5th qualifier is Chris Gerks, making his first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour today. Chris bowls over at Lilburn, and this first match will be the first I can recall on Prodigy where we'll have multiple left-handers in one match. Tristan will have the right side all to himself. The winner of that first 3-person match will advance to face our number 4 seed, Noah Bannister. Noah is another fireballer from Lilburn who's making his first appearance on Prodigy today. He had a chance to bowl a 290 in qualifying today before running into trouble in the late frames. And the number 3 seed is Eddie Chong, another Lilburn kid. You've seen Eddie on Prodigy before, and he just keeps getting better and better. The winner of that second 3-player match will advance to the championship match, where they'll face the number 2 qualifier, Christian Manel. He and Tristan Davis are the only Roswell kids left in the field. And our number 1 qualifier today is Gilbert Kang. Gilbert is another product of the awesome youth bowling program at Bolero Lilburn and is no stranger to the Prodigy Bowlers Tour Winner's Circle. And that's our field today in the Bigs on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Here's how we got here. In Game 1 of the qualifying round, Noah was on track for a 290 until the lanes began to transition, and he had a bumpy few frames at the end. Still, a 240 was enough to take the early lead. Christian Manel turned in a nice 231, as Gilbert and Eddie both were above 200. Then in Game 2, the kids switched pairs, and the scores plummeted for everyone but Gilbert Kang, who fired a solid 225, and Chris Gerks, whose 191 was enough to leapfrog up from 9th place into 5th and safely into the championship round. So it's time to get this party started. Again, just like with the Littles, we'll bowl this league style, with 2 bowlers starting on one lane and 1 starting on the other. The choice of starting lanes went to our highest qualifiers, And then once we knew which lane would have 2 bowlers, the higher qualifier had the choice of going first or second in the order on that lane. It's going to be Brandon Cho leading off on the left lane. Oh my goodness. Well, that's not the start he wanted. All right, Chris Gerks. Your first look at him on Prodigy. Oh, well, that's not the start he wanted either. That one goes high through the nose, and he's got the 4-6. Both of these two left-handers playing out by the gutter. Little overcorrection that time by Brandon. He goes through the nose and gets 7, so a tough start for him. And now Chris, there's not much you can do with the 4-6. Just take 1 and get your 9 and go on. He did what he could with it. Now Tristan. Right in the pocket for a solid strike. So Tristan with the early advantage here in our first stepladder match in the bigs. Brandon just 13 years old. He's got a load of talent. That's more like what we expect from him. Right in the pocket. This time the 7 stubbornly refuses to go. Little bit of talent with Chris Gerks as well, as he rips the rack for a strike. And Brandon gets the 7, barely. And that brings a smile to his face. As Tristan now moves over to lane 40. That's left. Goes high. Leaves the 3-pin. He may have had a little difficulty with the approach. You see him testing out the slide on his sole. May have stuck at the line a bit. All right, Brandon. Tried to get the shaker to go, but this time the 10 refuses to cooperate. Tristan, no problem with the 3-pin. And now Brandon for the spare. He'll go cross lane at the 10. He throws that white spare ball at pretty much all his spares. Now Chris Gerks working on a strike. There's another good one, and he's right back in it. This time Tristan a little wide of the mark. These lanes pretty touchy. Not much miss area. As he's got the 2, 4, 5. And as we've seen before, he'll go with his plastic ball at this. And that is perfectly done. So now Brandon. There you go. Right in the pocket, and a solid strike for the young left-hander. Chris trying to make it a turkey. Oh man, did that ever jump at the end. That looked like a pretty good shot until the last 5 or 6 feet of the lane. Tristan lucky to break up the split. He was right through the nose as well, but he gets 9, leaves just the 6. Well, this is Chris's second bout with the 4-6. This time it's got company. 4, 6, 7, 10, the big 4. We called it the double pinochle when I was growing up. And he gets 6 out, and that's no good. Throwaway count like that when you've got a strike up, they count double against you. A spare for Tristan. He stays clean. Well, Brandon Cho, one of 3 bowling brothers, Justin and Tyler. You've seen Tyler before on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. There's a Brooklyn strike for Brandon. His brother Justin also bowled in a Prodigy event once, but didn't make the show. But they've all 3 been over to bowl with us before. Brandon, the most frequent of the Cho brothers, bowling on Prodigy. Well, you could tell by his head nod that Chris knew that one was off the mark. And Tristan finds the pocket, and man, that 8-pin looked like it was going to levitate for just an instant, but it went down. And he's clean through 5 frames as we are getting closer now to the 7th frame sweat. Chris will go cross lane at the 4-7. Oh, and he's a little wide of the 4-pin. So that's an unforced error. 3 opens in 5 frames for Chris. That's not a good recipe at all. All right, Brandon, got to double up. This time he just missed a little left. Leaves the 1-3. But he's right there with Tristan, within a couple of pins of the lead. Chris just trying to claw his way back in this. Oh, man. Can't throw it any better. He can't believe it. That was like a punch to the gut. And Brandon covers his spare. Chris was just commenting that's second time today he's left a stone 9. He left one in qualifying. It's just our little gift to visitors at Bolero Roswell, to anyone who comes to bowl with us from somewhere else. A little welcome gift. Tristan light with that one, but gets 9. Leaves a simple spare, the 2-pin. And he just gets it to go. So a spare in the 6th, and now we move
to the 7th frame sweat. Now remember, the first ball you throw in the 7th frame is the pinfall total you will use to compete in what amounts to a single ball eliminator. Low pinfall is out no matter where they stand in the match. And a strike will automatically get you through to the rest of the match, so Chris is safe. And there's 9 for Brandon. Now he'll go ahead and shoot the spare since he's got to finish his frame before Tristan can bowl. We've got a strike and a 9. And there's a conversion for Brandon. So here's the situation. Tristan needs 9. Remember, 2 tie, all ties. So if Tristan gets 9 to match Brandon, that means all 3 players will continue through to the end of the match. But if Tristan gets a strike, he'll eliminate Brandon. If he gets 8 or less, it'll be Tristan who's done. Oh, there's 7. And the 7th frame sweat claims its first victim of the day. Tristan is out. So he will finish 7th today. And we will eliminate Tristan from the overhead score sheet. And the rest of the match will continue with just Brandon and Chris. And it would appear at the moment that Brandon has a 27-pin lead. So it would behoove Chris to put another strike on top of that strike he got in the 7th to chip away at the lead. Lefty against lefty. Don't believe we've ever had 2 lefties in one match on Prodigy before. Crosses over, gets 9, but squanders an opportunity to get a double to shrink Brandon's lead. Now Brandon on a spare. And he crosses over and gets the strike. So Chris has his back to the wall now. He can shoot 186 if he makes this spare and then strikes out from the 9th on. All right. He accomplished the first feat that he needed. But now he's got to get busy. Possible 186. Brandon going at a 193 pace. And when we talk of pace, we're talking spare strike the rest of the way. Oh boy. Well, see you later. That 9 count will just about do it. Unless Chris pulls off a miracle here. It's an open frame. He's going to be 132 in the 2nd. And this spare conversion right here. Oh man, he didn't leave anything in the bag, did he? That's enough right there. He's got 163 if he doesn't get another pin, and that's enough to edge Chris. So it's Brandon who will be moving on. It's funny how the strikes always seem to come easier when the pressure's off and the outcome of the match is already determined. Ball change. Brandon trying, I think that's the IQ Tour Emerald. Light hit, shaker won't go. It's going to be 152 with a conversion for Chris. Brandon goes back to his other ball on this right lane. So they're fishing a little bit. Brandon is trying to find the right look for his next game, and Chris will finish at 151, not the game he had hoped to bowl. Ran into some difficulty with some splits. Brandon covers the spare. He will finish with a 193. That's a good game on a tough oil pattern. So, it's Brandon Cho who will face Noah Bannister and Eddie Chong when we return. Well, the seventh frame sweat claimed its first victim today when Tristan Davis was eliminated in the seventh frame. He had the low pinfall on the first ball in the seventh to take the first exit ramp. And while Chris Gerks would probably tell you that he just couldn't get a break, I think he'd have to agree that Brandon Cho just out-bowled everyone that game. So, it's Brandon who's moving on to our next match, where he'll face two other Lilburn kids, Noah Bannister, our fourth seed, and Eddie Chong, who qualified third. Again, the higher seeds had the choice of starting lanes, and once we knew which lane would have two players starting on it, the higher of the two qualifiers had the choice of the order. Noah has elected to lead off on lane 40. Well, that one goes high, and now he's got a cluster, the 3-6-10. And now here's Eddie Chong. Eddie, one of just two one-handers left in the field. We'll see the other one in the next match. Well, that one was wide right. And that's an open to start and a tough go for Noah. Eddie for the spare.
takes care of the 1-2 quite easily. Brandon just got that one a little wide. You can't swing it out toward the gutter and expect it to come back. Not on this oil pattern. So Brandon has the 1-3-6. And he goes with a different ball. One urethane for the strike ball, one urethane for the spare ball. I don't know that there's that much difference between them. Oh no. Well,
I'm showing off.
he says, I'm showing off. Thin for Eddie. He's got the 2-5-8. Got to be careful with that sleeper 8. All right, Noah, let's see you recover and get this spare. Oh, no! The dreaded double gutter.
I'm trying to play too close to the gutter.
And you hear him say he's trying to play too close to the gutter. So I would look for him to move in a little. And as I mentioned, you got to watch that back pin. The sleeper 8 gets him. And Eddie open in the second frame. Now Brandon on a spare. Crosses over, but leaves a couple. The 4-7. All right, let's see if Noah can right the ship. Not exactly. The 6-7-10. Oh my. Brandon hooks by the 6-10 with still another ball for spares. Well, that's a bold attempt at the 6-7-10. You got to figure he's thinking, I got to make something happen here to get back in this, but 3 opens to start. Not what he had in mind, I'm sure. And Eddie doesn't quite get back to the pocket with that one, and now he's got the washout, the 1-2-10. That was a much better shot by Brandon. Got that 6-pin to do a little dance before it finally fell over, but the 10 remains. And he gets it. So now Eddie will move his feet and get in position to shoot the washout. Oh, and he overcut it just a little bit. Too thin on the head pin. It falls in the gutter, and that's 9 out. And we're seeing entirely too many open frames. Well, you could see that Noah moved in a little bit that time, but he still swung it out to the right a little wider than he would have liked. So he misses the head pin and leaves the 1-2. Another thin hit for Eddie. There's the 2-4-8. There you go. He's on the board. Well, Eddie had difficulty with the sleeper 8 a little while ago. Let's see if he can cover it this time. The spare a little easier with the 4-pin instead of the 5. One less chop possibility. And that's well done right there. You could almost tell that Brandon's ball was a little wide of the mark as it got around mid-lane. And he leaves the 3-5. Noah crossing over. And now he leaves just the 5-pin. As Brandon gets an easy conversion of the 3-5. One would think Noah shouldn't have any problem with this one. There you go. Back-to-back spares. And there's a solid strike for Eddie. As he shakes his head, I don't know what he's shaking his head about. Surely it wasn't anything he didn't like about that ball. Maybe it's like, why couldn't I have done that sooner? Well, Brandon pulled that one. Just got over the top on it. Well, Noah is having one of those games. We've all been there. And a good conversion of the 2-8 by Brandon Cho, as it appears the pin setter swept off the spare that Noah left. It was the 1-2-4-6-10, the super washout, and we'll have to call the counter and get them to reset it. And there's another solid strike by Eddie to go with the one he had in the 5th frame, so that's a double. And now he's in the lead. How about that? Well, as we have a moment here, I'll just mention to you that we're going to take a week off. We're going to skip the 28th of September. We will not film a Prodigy this weekend, but we'll be back the following Saturday with another event at Bolero Roswell on October 5th. So we're going to take 1 week off. All right, Noah for the spare. And that one sails by the head pin, the pin that he had to hit. And he's kind of like, get me out of here. I feel your pain. We have all had games like this. Brandon crosses over for a strike in the 6th, and that brings us to the 7th frame sweat. First ball in the frame will determine if you're going to continue. There's an 8 count. Will that be enough to stay in it? He'll go for the spare. And he covers it. But will that 8 count hold up? Eddie's strike will hold up. He's safe. So now it comes down to 1 ball right here. Brandon Cho needs 8 pins to continue and to have all 3 players bowl this one out. If he gets 9 or a strike, he eliminates Noah. Oh, but less than 8. And Brandon has self-eliminated. As you see Noah throw a strike in the 8th, he's ready to get this thing over with. But Brandon, with that 6 count in the 7th frame, becomes the one who is eliminated by the 7th frame sweat this time.
So this match is now just two players, Noah and Eddie. A little high that time. Eddie's string of strikes ends at 3. And he has a 59-pin lead at the moment, so it's not mathematically out of the wood, but Eddie's certainly in the driver's seat. He'll go for the 4-pin. He will throw it straight down the left side of the lane. But he whiffs it. Wow. Well, that is exactly the kind of mistake that Noah needs to see Eddie make more of to have a chance to get back in this. Noah can shoot 165 if he strikes out. Eddie would need a mark somewhere. Well, that is going to reduce Noah's possible score to just 145. And that means Eddie just needs 3 pins. And he will put this one away and move on to the championship match. And there it is. 6 is enough. So Eddie's your winner. Noah will go through the motions of finishing out the match. But let me tell you something. I saw this kid bowl in qualifying today. He's got some game. He tells me he averages in the 170s. I'm not sure if I believe him. He throws way too much ball to be shooting in the 170s, but maybe there are some control issues. We saw it with some spares today. Now, Eddie's spare got swept off as well. We're just going to have him shoot a full rack. You know, we talk about Prodigy Bowlers Tour being unofficial, informal, and impromptu. And that's a good example of it right there. Ordinarily in sanctioned competition, you would obviously have the spare reset, but the outcome of the game is already known. And we're going to give him 6 out because he would have whiffed the pins that he left on that spare. Doesn't matter. He's won the match. That's what we saw a lot of out of Noah in the qualifier. Eddie crossing over. Well, one thing is pretty certain that Noah brought us. I believe this marks the first time we've had a man bun on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, making a fashion statement. I like it. Oh, well, he nicked it, but it didn't go down.
I missed everything at that. Good job, Eddie.
So Eddie finishes with a 158. And now all of a sudden the pin setter on lane 39 is sweeping away all of our spares. I don't know what's up with that. We'll just have Noah shoot at a full rack here and get the mechanic on this problem before we start the championship match. We'll give him 8 out. It's a 133, less than what he'd hoped for, but Eddie Chong is the man who's moving on to face Christian Manel and Gilbert Kang in the championship.
Now, bring the spirit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour to your bowling center with Prodigy Bowlers Tour t-shirts and sportswear, including collared shirts with the Prodigy logo printed on the back to show that you support junior bowling. Check out the entire assortment of Prodigy t-shirts in the Brownswick store. Visit PRODIGYBowlersTour.com to see the selection. See the ash gray Celebrating Junior Bowling, Elevating Junior Bowlers t-shirt, or the Who Will Win the Coveted Trophy Pin t-shirt. Or maybe you'd want the one that says, I've come to get my bowl on, right on the front of the shirt, or simply, Bowl Me. There's a t-shirt that says, Bowling. You probably don't get it because it's mainly for smart people. And if you're a proud parent with a junior bowler, we've got a t-shirt just for you. And how about this t-shirt? You're bowling an 8th grader. Prepare to meet defeat. Available in grades 1 through 9, most in both adult and kid sizes. And finally, the shirt that reads, Bowl better, have more fun, take lessons. Then maybe you can keep up with me. The Brownswick store is powered by the people at Cafe Press, and all of these shirts are available right now. Just go to PRODIGYBowlersTour.com and click on the link to be taken right to the store. PayPal and credit cards accepted. That's PRODIGYBowlersTour.com. Get your bowl on and bring the spirit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour to your house. Order now. Go to PRODIGYBowlersTour.com. That's PRODIGYBowlersTour.com.
So the 7th frame sweat claimed another victim in match 2. And this time, Brandon Cho was within 2 pins of the lead when his day ended after leaving a washout when all he needed was 8 pins to continue. But that's what this format will do. Putting these kids under a little extra pressure is one of the things I've always intended for Prodigy to do, so it'll toughen them up for when they face real tournament pressure. And poor Noah Bannister probably doesn't know what hit him. That double gutter in the 2nd frame pretty much set the tone for his game. Unfortunately, having that happen can frazzle your nerves and it can be tough to recover. But he threw some quality shots and we'll have this behind him the next time we see him. But steady Eddie Chong is the one who's advancing to the championship match, where he'll face the only remaining Roswell kid in the field, Christian Manel, and Bolero Lilburn's Gilbert Kang, our tournament leader. Gilbert and Christian, being the higher seeds, both elected to finish on the right lane, and Gilbert, being tournament leader, had the choice of who would go first, and he chose to lead off on the left lane. That means Eddie will start on the right. Hooks a little more than he had hoped as he shakes his head. Eddie leaving the 6-9. Could have been worse. Now Gilbert Kang. An aggressive first ball and a solid strike. As Eddie now will go for the spare. Right up the back of the ball to create that straight ball motion. At his spare is a good shot. And now Christian Manel, his first frame on the left lane. And that's a solid strike for Christian. So now Gilbert will try to build on the foundation he set for himself. How about that one right there? Another good one. Eddie will move over to the left. Wide with that one. And now he's got the 1-2-8. As Christian moves over to lane 40, trying to keep pace with Gilbert. And he shreds the rack. And that one makes a statement. A good conversion of a tough spare by Eddie. As he's watching the other guys strike, he's just
Making his spares. You make your spares and you'll be in it. All right, Gilbert. Going for a turkey. Oh, he knew that one was good as soon as it left his hand. 3 frames, 3 strikes for Gilbert Kang. As Eddie now moves over to lane 40. And he's got to feel like he's being left out of the party right now. All the strikes going to Gilbert and Christian so far. It's okay, Eddie. You just keep making your spares. Christian trying to strike again to stay with Gilbert. This time it drifts high, and he's got a tough spare, the 3-6-10. Eddie with a conversion. Just hang in there, Eddie. Look out. Oh, he got a little lucky with that one. But it's a spare. And now when you get one of those, you just forget about it and think about the next shot. Gilbert a little wide going for his 4th strike in a row. And now he leaves the bucket, the 2-4-5-8. One of the toughest spares there is. A myriad of ways to miss this. Eddie finds the range and puts them all in the pit. Solid strike in the 4th. Now Gilbert for his spare. Oh, and that's one of the ways you can miss it. Chop the 2 off the 5. So an opening for Christian and Eddie. And I can promise you, Christian is going to want to pounce right here. Take advantage of that opening. But instead, he goes through the nose and leaves a wide open split, the 4-6-10. And it's Gilbert who gets the strike to get right back on the horse. Christian will just go for count here. All right. It's really all you can do with the 4-6-10. Just hope for a miracle. And Eddie's not up on the left lane. He's up on the right lane. It's all right. No harm, no foul. Light, 2-4-8. He's seen this one before. That's more like what Christian wanted in the last couple of frames. Buried that one in the pocket. So Gilbert with the lead. It's actually Eddie in second place, assuming he makes this spare. That's what staying clean can do for you.
It looked like Gilbert and Christian were getting all the strikes, but Eddie just quietly going along, staying clean, finds himself just 9 pins off the lead. But Gilbert, with a strike up in the 5th, can now extend his lead with another one here in the 6th. That was just fractionally wide. It was just a little late getting to the pocket. So he didn't have quite the right angle and the right drive to get that 6 to come off the wall and slap out the 10. So he's got a single pin spare to deal with. Now Eddie. Well, he has definitely figured out the left lane. That's 2 solid strikes in a row on lane 39. A conversion of the 10 pin for Gilbert. And now Christian with a strike can pull to within 1 of Gilbert. How about it? We got us a match now. It's Gilbert with a 1-pin lead over Christian, and Eddie breathing down their necks as we enter the 7th frame sweat. First ball in the 7th frame will determine whether or not you will continue and finish the match. Low pinfall is out. Oh, and he loved that one. So Gilbert is safe. He will be finishing out the match. Can't beat 10. All right, Eddie would love to double here. Goes high. He gets 9. So that means Christian is going to need 9 to continue. Remember, 2 tie, all tie. Look at Josh, the lane guy, walking down the catwalk. Oh, he's messing with Christian. And Christian caught it out of the corner of his eye and stops. I would have stopped the minute I saw Josh walking down the catwalk. That would have been distracting enough. But once again, here's the situation. Christian needs 9 to continue. If he gets a strike, he'll eliminate Eddie. If he gets 8 or less, Christian is out. Can't throw it any better than that. So it's Eddie who's done for the day. He will finish 3rd today in our 7th frame sweat 2019 edition. And this match will continue with just 2 players. And I'll tell you something else, that strike Christian just got, that put him in the lead. He now has a 9-pin advantage over Gilbert. Gilbert will reset on lane 40. And now they move to the 8th frame. Oh, he gets the can opener. The 5 and 6 split. And I think Gilbert's going to go ahead and bowl his 9th frame. This isn't exactly like PBA style. We're bowling league style, but Gilbert's going to go ahead and throw his 9th frame.
He can't shut out Christian even if he strikes out. Oh my goodness. That looked like a pretty good ball. It just jumped at the very end. I was thinking maybe a 4-pin, but instead the 4 has company and he's got the 4-10. Get the ball over to the left edge of the 4-pin. Try to slide it across the deck. But he gets too much of the 4-pin. It's an open frame at a most inopportune moment. And so Christian has a free run now. Well, score that one as a wild pitch. The runners advance. And what is this? The 1-5-7. You're going to shoot it about like a strike. Put the ball on the right side of the head pin. Throw it over into the 7 as the ball drives through and gets the 5. But he goes on the left side of the head pin. You're never going to make it that way. And he hands the open right back to Gilbert. Well, here's the situation. If Christian strikes in the 9th frame, Gilbert cannot shut him out. He tosses his rosin bag down. I'm not sure he realizes he's still in command of this match. If he strikes out, Gilbert can't catch him. He needs to strike here to protect himself. But instead, he goes to the nose and leaves the 3-pin. So now Gilbert has the upper hand and can throw 3 strikes in the 10th and win the match. The best Christian can do now is 208. Gilbert can still shoot 210. He takes extra care to get that 3-pin. And he has a few choice words for Josh that's still eating at him. Got to let it go, Christian. That was a frame ago. You are on to the 10th frame next. Gilbert. 2 strikes and 9 in the 10th frame will shut out Christian. Oh, there's one. That was well done. Under pressure. Take another look at it. Playing around 16 at the arrows, out to about 10. Wow. Can't throw it much better than that. See his reaction. All right. Again, he needs this one and then 9 on the fill to shut out Christian. Oh, and he slaps out the 10-pin. So Gilbert has set himself up with a chance to throw the shutout ball. Watch it again. He's solid at the line. Oh, he knows it's good. Just a question of carry. See him react to it. Now he knows he gets 1 ball with a chance to shut out Christian. He needs 9 or a strike to win the match. 8, and Christian could strike out in the 10th to tie. Oh, it's wide. Oh, and he gets 7. And that means Christian can get up and beat him. Christian will need 3 strikes in the 10th to win. If he gets 2 strikes and 9, we have a tie.
Oh no. 3 strikes.
2 strikes and 8, he doesn't even want to think about it. He needs 3 strikes. And the best way to do it is just get 1 at a time. He needs this strike right here. Oh, and he gets a Brooklyn. Unbelievable. The break of the match. Watch this one. Not his best. Oh, he gave it a little extra. I've been working so hard with Christian to not do that, to just smooth it off his hand. He gave it a little extra and grabbed it, and of course the ball overreacts. But now he needs 1 more. Must strike right here. Oh, he did it again. And he gets away with it again.
Gilbert, I'm sorry.
And he says, Gilbert, I'm sorry. You should be. Oh, Christian. Watch it again. He did the same thing again. He just grabbed it at the bottom, gave it all he could. That's his tendency. And the ball hooked off the world and just caught a piece of the head pin. You see his reaction here. Oh, I can't believe it. And you heard him say, I'm sorry to Gilbert. All right, a strike to win, 9 to tie, 8's a loser. Oh, 8, not what he wanted. And it's Gilbert Kang who wins by the hair on his chinny chin chin. It's a 1-pin victory for Gilbert. Watch the final ball. Christian just a little wide with it. And a 2-10. What is it with this kid and 2 10s in the decisive final ball? He's done that a few times on Prodigy, and it cost him dearly today. It's Gilbert Kang who is headed to the winner's circle. He will sign the coveted red trophy pin when we return after this.
In bowling, often the difference between a strike and a spare lies not with the bowler, but with the ball he's using. And that's why so many thousands of bowlers are going for the new M-Flight bowling ball. It's the ball that gives you more striking power, more pinpoint power to spare. You get more out of bowling with an M-Flight because more goes into the making of each M-Flight. You see, most balls are made in just 2 parts, an inner core and an outer cover. But the new M-Flight is made in a special 3-part method with an inner core, unique outer core of hard rubber, and an extra tough cover stock. All 3 parts are pressed together by AMF's new process to form a springier ball. A ball that has better balance for truer roll and control. More explosive power. More pin mix. See the 1963 line of M-Flight bowling balls at bowling centers and wherever quality sporting goods are sold. Remember, AMF means the finest.
Once again, congratulations to Rowan Sautner, who captured first place in the Littles division today for his first Prodigy win of the season. Somehow I have a suspicion it won't be his last. And thanks to all the kids from Bolero Lilburn who made the trip across town to bowl with us today. Chris Gerks, Noah Bannister, Brandon Cho, Eddie Chong, and our winner today, Gilbert Kang, who showed us what clutch bowling is all about, throwing 2 solid strikes in the 10th frame to put all the pressure on Christian Manel, who on this day came up just 1 pin short. So I guess it's time we hand the pin and the pen to Gilbert to let him do what he came to do today. Sign the coveted trophy pin.
How's your heart?
Too fast. Too fast.
That was pretty thrilling.
I don't think I deserve that. I celebrated too early and I got away with it, but I don't think I should have done that.
Well,
I celebrated way too early.
You won fair and square.
Yeah, but
Christian got a couple of lucky ones in the 10th to give him a chance, but In the end, it was just one pin shy. And you know what this means? It's a return to the winner's circle for Gilbert Kang. And he gets to sign the coveted red trophy pin. A successful return to Prodigy.
Yeah. What's the date?
Today is 9/21/2019. You did really well today. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, it's time for the Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week with this week's champion.
So here's Gilbert Kang, our winner today on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. So, Gilbert, when you get up in the 10th frame and you gotta have one, what do you think about?
Stay calm. Don't think too far. Obviously, I did that. I thought I had it, but obviously I got 7 when I was supposed to get 9, and
well, you
Christian
got 2 strikes and then 7.
Yeah, I thought I had it, and then I got a little too far ahead of myself.
So grab your ball.
Yeah.
And let's just try to simulate a 10th frame here. So you're standing up on the lane. You get up. You go through your routine.
Sit down.
So tell me about your pre-shot routine. What do you do when you get up on the lane?
Just stay calm. Let the air hit your fingers, and just bowl. All right.
So you get up on the approach. First thing you do?
Stay calm. Breathe.
Check your feet.
Yeah, I'm a little farther up on the approach.
Check where your feet are. And then you pick out your target.
Yeah, that'd be board 17. All right, here we go. Oh, that's way right.
Well, way right maybe, not the shot he wanted to throw, but it would have been good enough to win the match had he thrown that 9 count in the 12th frame of the championship match. The lesson here is develop a pre-shot routine and stick to it. And good things can happen when you're under pressure.